G'day Darkrealmers, it's horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott here with you again today. And today I've got a great indie book for you. Hey, if this is your first trip to the diaries, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. And if you want a bit of help in finding the best horror books and movies, learn some Hollywood trivia, find a bit of creepypasta, then you've come to the right place. Just hit the bell notification and the subscribe button and you'll always be up to date. Okay, well today for you Darkrealmers, I have got Christie Stratos' book Locke and Key, which is the second book in her Dark Victoriana series. What's it like? I'll let you know right now. We're going to get started. Yeah! Okay, Darkrealmers, now if you're looking for a book that encompasses mind manipulation and mind games and slowly weaving that web where the protagonists get drawn into situations that they can't escape, then you're going to love this. I was a huge fan of Christie's first book, Anatomy of a Darkened Heart, and this book just blew me away. Locke and Key goes beyond. If you already read Anatomy of a Darkened Heart and thought that was great, wait till you read this. Now, the basic premise is Mr. Locke, who has a locksmith business called Locke and Key, hence the title. And everything in the book is written in a series of like entries. So we get little snapshots from the characters' perspectives at different times, almost like cuts in a movie. And the first thing you get in the book is Mr. Locke and his assessment of 5 potential employees. Now, there was something really unnerving about this when I read it, so it drew me straight in, Darkrealmers, okay? Because there was just something about the way his assessment methods, and I kept thinking, why is he preferring candidate X over candidate Y, because candidate Y has more experience and so forth. And he makes notes, it says not to be employed. And as the book progresses, you can see why he's chosen the people he has, because in his mind he has definite ideas about what he wants from employees, and it goes far beyond just repairing locks and making keys for people. And of course, all this is set in that gorgeous, scrumptious Victorian era, which I love. And there is a great sense of building menace with this book, Darkrealmers, and it's all very subtle. Now, in societies in the 1880s, Victorian era, society was quite stratified. Now, of course, Christie's book takes place in America, where they don't really have a class system as pronounced as in Great Britain. But of course, there were still social etiquettes and social norms that were followed, and you just didn't do certain things. Now, one of the things Mr. Locke does is invite all his employees to his home for a meal. That just wasn't done. There was a very big distinction between employer and employees. And that even happens here in Australia back in those days. Well, this is where he slowly builds, this sense of we're more than employees, you're my family. And it's almost as if Mr. Locke is trying to get these guys to be beholden to him. Okay, now one of the most interesting for me characters was Jude. Now, Jude is a very scary character. I mean, he when he's asleep, he has fits and nightmares where he bashes on the walls uncontrollably, and he's been warned by his landlord, stop it or you're out. But he's a very lonely character, and he, out of all the characters, he's the one who wants to please Mr. Locke the most. He wants him to be like his father, the one he wished that he had. And Mr. Locke cleverly uses this. Now, all I'll say without spoilers is that Mr. Locke can get him to do things which are quite unpalatable. But there's a reason for it. Look, this is superb, Darkrealmers. I can't praise this book highly enough. Christie is a wonderful author. She also happens to be my editor, so I am a little bit biased. But look, that aside, Darkrealmers, you will love the characters in this. There are, different characters will evoke in you different emotions. Now, Jude, for me, was absolutely frightening. Mr. Locke, even though he manipulated people and did things in horrible situations and so forth, Christie cleverly, explains why. And even though it's, a bit uncomfortable, you can understand why, at the end of the book, which is really good. Now, there's also Matthew and John, Jude, as I've explained. These are all great characters, and there's all a backstory behind them, and you can really relate to all these characters. And the clever thing too that I found too, Darkrealmers, with the book, was that Christie has cleverly taken a scene or an incident from Anatomy of a Darkened Heart and expanded it into Locke and Key. So the characters from this book sort of overlap into Anatomy of a Darkened Heart and vice versa. Brilliant. I am so looking forward to the next one in this series. I can't tell you how much, Darkrealmers. Now, as I said, if you like that dark, creepy, think of those, wonderful films. To give you an idea, think of those wonderful old films like Gaslight and so forth that conjure up that menace. This is that in a literary form. You're going to love it, Darkrealmers. Now, you may remember that I did a review of Christie's first book, Anatomy of a Darkened Heart, and you can find it, where the little button thing is. You can find my review there. But I've also put a link down to Christie's YouTube page down there, so you can check Christie's Writer's Edge cast out for yourselves too, okay? Does some wonderful stuff, not just for writers, but for readers as well. Okay, there you go, Darkrealmers. That's my review, as I say, of Locke and Key. Of course, I can't tell you too much because the plot is so intricately woven in this story that if I unpicked one, the whole thing would unravel and there'd be a whole heap of spoilers, okay? But do yourself a favour and check that one out for yourself, and it's available in paperback and in ebook form. I basically finished it in 2 days, and it was literally because I couldn't put it down, okay? So if you've read it yourself, let me know what you thought in the comments, and tell me what was it about the book that you really loved, Darkrealmers, because I'd really love to know. And if you haven't read it yet, let me know if this review has helped you in some way to maybe put this on your reading list. Alright, Darkrealmers, well, that's it from me, Michael J. Elliott. Thanks so much for joining me for this review. And as I always say, now, if you're going to get your locks fixed, make sure you do it and stay in the light. Okay? Bye.